Welcome to a video novel, Loansharker from Mindanao by Daniel Carut, aka Daniel Palmieri. I don't know what character is fictional and what event has happened and which events hasn't happened, but I don't think so it's your concern, pal. So listen up. Chapter 1, Burning Ceremony. I arrived to Philippines in 2012, to the forgotten part of the Philippines called Mindanao. This island was the only island out of 7,000 islands where were present Muslim minority, which were in a constant disputations, set in a very euphemistic way, with a Christian majority, which later on resolved into the event and war known like a conflict in Marawi in 2012. I have escaped this conflict 24 hours before with a 45 in my left hand and with a passport in my right hand, literally. And I have left there $1 million frozen. And if you listen this story to the end, maybe you'll be able to take this money and pick up the part of my existence which is still left there. Because right now I'm in Sri Lanka and I'm facing 20 years in a jail in Philippines. But we are getting too ahead. The name of the first chapter is a burning ceremony. Burning ceremony is an event which represents death. Death is something which is forgotten, which is suppressed in Western society. It's a ritual of death. In Philippines, the dead was young and hungry. When you were taking a walk in the local graveyard, you have found out that the distance between born date and the death date was maximum 30-35 years. The first burning ceremony which I have attended was a burning ceremony of the guy whose name was Elroy de la Cruz. And I was taken to the burning ceremony to the local church by a guy called Ricky Cruz. Ricky Cruz was 50 years old real estate agent, hustler, swindler, and contract killer who escaped 20 years ago from Manila, where he lost millions of his prominent father in a baccarat, and he was chased by local mafia, and he has hidden in a Mindanao, in this forgotten part of the Philippines, where he learned a different accent and he changed his name. And this guy was selling me a house which I pretend to buy, and we went together to the burning ceremony of his close friend Elroy. First name of Filipinos were always American, since it was a colony from 20th century, and the second name was Spanish, since it was a couple of hundred years before Spanish colony, before these guys came in 16th century from Malaysia. Why I'm talking about burning ceremony? The death as a ritual of growing adult, death of the ritual of death, which is suppressed in the European continent, where we are so much scared of suicide. I haven't met, by the way, in 5 years, I haven't encountered nobody who commits suicide in Philippines. This ritual, this event, is very important to understand the culture, the tricky features of this unique country, which is the only Catholic country in Asia, this cradle of the best and the worst, the cradle and the crossroad of West and East. So we're sitting with Ricky Cruz in the church and we're watching the coffin of Elroy. And Elroy is in there, chilled in the coffin, and soon he will be put 5 meters beneath the ground, and he will be even more chilled, like a bear. And there is a priest, and he is having a speech. He's looking at the widow, he's looking at his mother, his kids, relatives, friends, me and Ricky. And he's having a great speech in this city called Kagendoro, which was translated like a city of golden friendship, which was not exactly Nomen Omen place, because in this place where there was one filthy, dirty river, where you can find every morning float a couple of bodies here and there, or strangled or buried in the quarterhood called landfill, one body minus plus body, 5 plus bodies minus 5 heads. In this city called Golden Friendship, translated from Bisaya, a lot of my friends has died. Later on, Ricky Cruz as well. He was salvaged by 2 guys on 45 in capital Manila. And I was not surprised to you that this murder was ordered by me. But before Ricky Cruz died, he has learned me something in this city. And he has started in this event from which I am always going away. So forgive me this. But this is the way how I'm telling the story. So we're sitting in the church and we're watching this coffin and the priest. And the priest is knocking on the wood, on the mahogany beautiful wood, and I'm thinking this would be great table in my fucking house which I wanna buy. And he's having a really speech by heart, and he's saying something like that. We know Elroy was not a good guy. He was a notorious assassin, and we know he was killing people and neighbors of his like a chicken for a couple of pesos. We know he was a bad guy. In that moment, the widow burst into the hysterical, maybe fake one, crying, spasm. The mother was crying. His father was crying. The kids were crying. And the priest was going on. We know Elroy was not a good person. He was killing people like a chickens. He was a murderer. He was a contract killer. We don't know if he will be accepted and saved in heaven. But I tell you this, I know Elroy, and I do believe in Jesus Christ and Saint Maria and Joseph. And I know that bottomless in the mind and soul and bottom in the bottom of mind of Elroy, there was some good. And suddenly the widow stopped crying, and the wife as well. And everybody would get quiet. And the preacher go on. He was an old preacher and he buried a lot of people in Kagendoro. He was very demanding job, let me tell you. And well paid as well. He got a fraction and he went on. We know Elroy did this to feed his family. We know Elroy did this to do some good. We know he ain't got given a chance to choose. Bottom, he was a good. And more importantly, even though he was not good, he truly believed in God. He did believe in him. That's why we know he will be accepted and saved in the heaven. And in that moment, the widow and all people burst out in the praising of the God. And they say, yes, be God blessed. We know Elroy will go to the heaven. I look at the Ricky and he says, yes. And we all did like that. And I say, hey, Ricky, you gotta explain me something. Later on, when the whole show was over, I approached Ricky and say, hey, brother, this guy killed 17 people. I read it in local newspapers. And the preacher, he said that this guy will be saved. You think he really went to the heaven after that? And Ricky looked at me with his wicked eye. And he says, sure, Daniel, everything is possible in the Philippines. And I said, Ricky, I have a serious interest to become a Christian. Can you explain it to me? And he says, listen, when you truly believe in God and He's in His kingdom, you can salvage anybody and you can go to heaven. I said, really? We went to the local shopping mall, and I bought a rosemary, the cross, and I put it on my neck. Later on, I have another one, and inside there was little knife. You could open it, and you can stop other motherfuckers who didn't believe in the God. You know what I say? Who wanna go after you and get your own cut and fuck you over with the money laundering, or jack up real estates, and any kind of very Christian businesses which we were about to start there. But I am getting again advanced. Then I have another cross, the sniffing cross. You know, there was a little cocaine in the case that I feel that my faith is fainting away. Well, I got a lot of these crosses. But then I haven't had what a real Christian should have, a 45. So I said to Ricky, listen, Ricky, now I got a cross, but I need as well some weapon to fight the Satan, you know? And he says, yeah, it makes sense. So we call another guy. His name was Florante Torrefil. I will never forget this guy. He saved my life. And I don't mean he sent me right away to the, you know, up there, or he didn't roll me in the ball and send me down to the hell or up to the heaven. I mean, he really did save my life. Before he died, naturally, like all of my friends. So we went to the shoot the rinks. It means we went to try some couple of weapons out of the town, next to the jungle. We took a 4-wheel drive, and Florante Torrefil took a couple of weapons with him he took it into the trunk. And then we have tried a couple of weapons. First I have tried 9mm. Florante Torrefil explained me how to hold a weapon. He was half Muslim, his mother was a Christian, and his father was Muslim. I tell you about his story later on. This great character who became my bodyguard later on showed me how to hold a weapon. It's not like in the movies, brother, that you pinpoint the weapon or the pistol at somebody with one hand. Don't forget about these bullshits. It's all about the survival instinct. You gotta spread like that and hold weapon like that by both hands. 9mm doesn't pull you back, doesn't shoot back, doesn't hit back. It's an easy weapon. And Florante Torrefil look at me with his blue, cold, icy eyes. And he was on the ice, which is what's called Shebu. Later on, we got a couple of laboratories with a guy called Daniel Fabe. I tell you about his kingpin later on. There will be a lot of good Christians. I can assure you about this in this story. A lot of characters, like from Bible, you know. I don't know if they very close to Cain, Abel, or Joseph, but they got all Christian names. Daniel, like me. Which means in Hebrew, the God is my judge. So I said, Florante, can I try 45? He said, sure did, sure done, consider it done, sir. So I have tried 45. It was hitting back a lot. I couldn't shoot any battles. It was like holding a fucking bazooka. I don't know if you're trying to shoot from 45, but it's not a weapon for beginner. So I said to Florante, my friend, I think I go for 9mm because I'm a beginner. Ricky laughed because he had a 46 caliber. Later on, I have learned as bigger as better in Philippines. Florante, who were wearing 45, and I got an AK-47 in his trunk, like a backup, told me, sir, are you sure you have made your mind? I tell you the story. Couple of weeks ago, I was downtown in Cagayan de Oro, and policemen, they were 9mm. Army got a 45, because policemen are not supposed to kill the civilians. They just gotta protect or stop the perpetrator or potential criminal, right? But they are not supposed to kill him. They are not the army. And there was one guy who provoked another guy. And the guy who was a provoke, this chap, this mate, he tossed up his fucking weapon and he shoot the provocateur with 45 in his leg. And the guy died after a couple of minutes where the foam around his mouth appeared. He died by shock, sir, just shot to the leg. The other couple of weeks ago, I was driving around the city and I saw one guy shooting another guy with 9mm. The guy got hit twice or 3 times in the back, and I swear to you, Jesus, God bless Maria, is my witness, that this guy was still running 5 or 10 meters with 3 bullets in his back. You see, sir? That's why you gotta buy 45. You shoot somebody to leg and he died by shock. Go for 45. Ricky says, you should buy 46, bro. Oh my God. Later on, I was wearing Uzi. Well, then we came back downtown town, and I was a complete Christian. Only what was left is to be baptized. We came and we visited a guy whose name was Ricardo de la Cruz. Actually, his real name was Ricardo Saavedra. His father was corrupted colonel in the army, and he was supplying guns. Muslims in Marawi, in the autonomic region Marawi, they were dropping it by parachutes from main capital Manila to Cagayan de Oro. These guns were before stolen in the American military bases in Las Vegas, and they were defolded and decomposed and smuggled in containers in Manila. So the American soldiers' weapons were given to ISIS and Abu Sayyaf terrorists. And when I said later on, Ricardo is one business, Ricardo, I got a couple of AK-47 from Kazakhstan, but I'm going to ahead. So we went to visit Ricardo de la Cruz. And Ricardo Saavedra got a couple of M16. And we met him on the road, parking in front of the local bistro, and on the other side there was a kindergarten. And Ricardo opened the trunk in the daylight, and in the trunk there was a couple of M16, couple of M4 with grenade throwers. There were a couple of Uzi and 1 or 2 AK-47. He got a big car with big trunk, 4-wheel drive, which was stolen, of course, in Las Vegas, and it was decomposed into parts which were shipped and smuggled. Later on this year, they find Steven Spielberg's motorbike in Cagayan de Oro and a couple of other prestigious vehicles which were stolen in Hollywood and smuggled to Cagayan de Oro. Ricardo was, except of his full-time job selling weapons, he was part-time job car theft. So in his hot car there was a lot of weapons to start a little war. And he just shoveled one of the fucking M16 on the light out of the trunk. And there was a little group of kids coming from the kindergarten with teacher. And he was teaching me, he just put the magazine into the weapon and he cocked it up and he said, you wanna try, sir? You wanna pinpoint? You know, I say, look at the kids, Ricardo. And he says, relax, this is Philippines. And Ricky looked at me and he said the phrases, which was later on repeated by him many times. Everything is possible in the Philippines, Daniel. And he says, sir, you wanna buy a couple of this M16? I said, Rick, I just got 45, you know. And Torrente says, sir, we can buy a couple of M16. I know couple of guys because there is a Christmas coming and there will be ban of weapons, buying of weapons, so which means the prices will go up. We can sell it. Well, my friend, I leave you with this first chapter of this pulp video novel, and I'm going to swim. I hope so you have enjoyed. Sorry the loosen quality, I heavily improvise, and sorry about my vocabulary. God bless. I'll come back in next chapter.